Thanks for staying with us here on The Real Story. We're talking about representation in government and getting people to run for office. What are some of the barriers and tools that we can give people to get involved? Well, that's the work of the campaign school at Yale. I got a chance to speak with some of the women who took part in the most recent nonpartisan workshop. Take a listen.
Oftentimes, especially women, we feel as though we don't have the time, being a mom like myself, to do more. But I know for a fact that that's not true.
We're a large block of the voters, and we're more than half of the population, so we need to be at the table when the decisions are made.
You can do it, and I'm an example of that. I'm a mom, a wife, and you can do it.
Some powerful conversations there. That's just a glimpse. Joining me now to talk more about it is Executive Director of the Campaign School at Yale, Patty Russo. Patty, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, we're really in a time right now when there's a lot of conversation about representation in politics, but also the barriers involved to running and campaigning. I know that's a part of what you do and a really big part of it. Can you give us a run through of what you hear are some of the biggest barriers that stand in the way for a lot of people?
Well, I think you just heard many of them in Nushet, Ayana, and Renee.
Yep.
The multitasking that women do, right? We're not just doing one thing. We're moms, we're busy, we've got full-time jobs, waiting for the right moment. What we try to impress upon our students is we're going to help you make your moment, create your time to come. It's always going to be busy. It's always going to be crazy in your life. But for the most part, if you really, really want to do this, we're there to help you, give you the skills and the support that you need. You can do it.
Yeah. And it's a little inside baseball at times, and easy, I think, for people to forget just how complex and controlled things like party nominations and PAC donations really are. What do you hear specifically from women who you mentor and facilitate this campaign school with? What do they need to get by? What do they find they're lacking the most of, when they're coming into the campaign school here?
Well, I think to your point, the insider baseball mentality that you're talking about. Nobody told me. Nobody told me I was going to have to raise $500,000 for a seat that doesn't pay, right? Or, who's going to take care of my kids? Or just kind of things that as women we deal with all the time. There's also the issue, the growing issue, sadly, of all the violence and attacks, physical attacks that students are experiencing on the campaign trail. More and more women are saying, how can I keep myself safe, let alone my family? And is this really the best way to serve? So you have to do a lot of soul searching. You have to do your homework. You have to come to our school so that there are no bad surprises on the campaign trail. We prepare you for everything and anything that comes your way.
Yeah. And I got a chance to be there as you were preparing these women at the campaign school's boot camp. But, it wasn't just people who are hoping to run or currently running. It was also people like Nushet at the end there who are already elected.
Correct.
Currently a mayor who she was telling us that she wanted to do this because she didn't know about some of these things back when she was running before she got elected.
Correct.
And she said, she's going to take that back and it'll make her a better mayor. What are the feelings that you walk out of that room with after this 5-day boot camp as the executive director?
Well, one of exhilaration and exhaustion, as you saw, as you experienced when you joined us that one day. Yep. We say that our program is intense, it's rigorous, and it's comprehensive. So everything and anything that you may come in contact with, you are prepared for. Yep. Many of the women who came this year are getting ready for a run in 1 or 2 years. So they're preparing. That's a good time to come, Emma, when it's not a deer in the headlights situation. Oh my God, I'm running right now. Here's one more thing I don't know.
Right.
Right? These women are preparing, and as a Girl Scout, the Girl Scout in me, be prepared. It's always the best way because you're just kind of open to everything that you're hearing. It's like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. Or, oh, that's new. and the ability to just take it all home with you, sit with it for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and start making a plan for yourself to run.
So we spoke about some of the barriers, you know, and what you all are teaching at the campaign school, getting people prepared, but why should people be interested in running at all? You know, I know you get a lot of applications. What's the message to people who are, you know, hearing all of this and thinking, oh my gosh, why would I even run for office?
Because there's nothing better than running and serving. You know, being a public servant is amazing. It's an amazing experience. Your ability to change your community for the better, your state, the world, that's pretty heady stuff, right? And when you see, that's oftentimes when women decide there ought to be a law, and maybe I should write it, or I really need to step up and do something. I need to raise my hand. We certainly saw it in 2016, where there was a groundswell of women calling us after that presidential election saying, wow, I've got to step up. I've got to use my voice for good.
And speaking of that, I know you've had some pretty impressive alumni out of the program, but as you mentioned there, you know, a lot of this message is saying to women, well, if you think something should change, you can be the one who go and change it.
You be the leader.
Yeah, can you speak to me a little bit more about some of those examples? You know, what have you seen come out of this, both those alumni as well as some of maybe the policies that we've seen?
Well, I love this story. She's not a grad, but she's an ambassador and a donor. Years and years ago, when I was first starting out politically in Connecticut, I befriended a woman who was very active in her community, but she was also a full-time mom. And she was like, this is my thing. I'm a full-time mom. Yeah. But there was an issue in her community. She wrote a letter to the editor. Is anybody concerned about this issue the way I am? If you are, meet me at the diner 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Hoping that, you know, 20 of us would show up. Right. Hundreds of us showed up to the point where they had to close down the diner. Well, she was the one that, you know, changed all that in her community. Right. Then one of the political parties went to her and said, you should run for office. Oh, no, not me, not me. No, you're a born leader. You just didn't see it. A lot of times we see in women and, you know, and men, we do accept men as well as non-binary individuals. Sometimes we see in them what they don't yet see in themselves. Well, that woman ran for state rep, then became our first female Speaker of the House, Moira Lyons. I love that story. So sometimes you don't even see it. You're so busy being a leader. Right. You're not thinking, hey, yeah, wow, maybe me. Right. Maybe it's my time.
And we know, as you mentioned, a lot of people who participate are not just candidates, but also
campaign managers, finance directors. So they want to learn how to be even better at those jobs as well. Right. Not everybody was born to run. Emma, this is the other thing. Not every woman was born to run, but every woman was born to lead. Yeah. So find a leadership role for yourself that is aligned with your skill set. What are you really good at? Right? I never want to run for office. Never. I'm so happy that there's so many amazing, we have amazing students out there now, grads, that are running. I'm so proud of them. I have no interest in running and have never had an interest in running. I like the campaign management side. I like telling people what to do. Shocking.
But you can not be a candidate and still be involved in politics. Correct. And still be involved in the process. Yeah.
Exactly. And have tremendous influence. Right. I can pick up a phone. Yep. I can say, hey, what do you think about this? Right. Without ever having to go on television or, you know, make a statement. Yeah. You can do it whatever way works for you, but just do it. I think that's our message. Just do it, and we will be there for you.
And you lead me into my next thing there about, you know, just doing it. We know that a lot of people are disenfranchised by politics. They feel like they're not represented. Mm-hmm. They're also just frustrated with either the candidates of who's running, frustrated with the system. You know, they kind of feel like it's a vicious cycle, or they're just kind of lackadaisical about it. What would you tell people who you know, about why you think they should be involved in the process, even if it's just maybe a first-time voter?
Correct. So a lot of times we'll say, do something in your community. Start local. Right. Find something. Find a candidate that aligns with what you believe in your values, right? A lot of times voters will say, nobody is talking to me. You know, there's all this noise out there. This doesn't relate to me. And what we instill in our grads is, it's public service. right? I know you feel like you have a bullseye on your back sometimes, that you're being attacked, but it's about public service. You are here to serve. How can I make my constituents' life better? How can I move the needle a little bit so people are less disenfranchised and feel that somebody is listening to them?
And we know politics is about the people. Those grads, you know, are going to go on to do some great things. It was so wonderful to stop by and see them. I know a lot of them are preparing for their 2024 races.
They're out there now.
Exactly.
They're out there now. I saw Renee an hour ago, and she's door knocking up a storm. Asked her what she's learning from her constituents on the doors. That's where your message is, Emma.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we tell our grads. The messaging, your most effective messaging to your voters, your constituents, it's on the doors.
Well, Patty, thank you so much for being here and taking a couple minutes. We really appreciate it.
I loved being here. Have me back anytime.
Of course.
Thanks,
well,
Emma.
That does it for us here now on The Real Story. But if you want to watch these segments again, you can head to fox61.com or download the free Fox 61 News app and watch The Real Story every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on Fox 61 or streaming on Fox 61 Plus. Have a great morning.